Been a little while since I've done a Facebook Live. So let me make sure I am on track with what I've got going on here on my screen. By the way, you guys are welcome to let me know in the chat that you are here. Plus, that way it'll help me know that this is working. I don't like the lighting in here. I don't like the way this is set up. But you know what? I said I was going to go live, and we're going to go live. So this is the best we're going to do for today. However, I am promising that this is going to be extremely useful for you. So it's 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific. I'm just going to give it a minute, let others drop in before we talk too much. Today we're going to be talking about the business breakthrough that no other coach is talking about. This is not something you're going to find anywhere else very easily, if at all, because it's got to be mine, right? We've created this over the years. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it and how it came about, why it's useful for you. So we're going to be doing that as we get going. I see Justin's in the house. What's up, buddy? This will be useful for you. Give it just a minute here. I'm gonna ask you one question. It's probably gonna help reveal kind of the pattern you might be running in your business. I'm not gonna be doing any pitches today. I do have something exciting coming up at the end of the month, but that's not gonna be something we're gonna talk about here. That's just in the pipeline for conversation later on. All right, let's get going. By the way, drop in the comments as you guys show up. Make sure you let us know that you're here. So just give me a thumbs up, a hello, something, so that I know that you're here. Let's get down to business. All right, we're live. Here's what we're going to be doing for the next 40 minutes. I'm going to show you why you're stuck, even if you're doing everything right. And I'm going to show you the one thing that changes everything. So this isn't going to be another tactic. It's not some other cool little thing. It is a pattern that you are running. And so by the end of this, you're going to know which of the 4 patterns you're in, why that pattern is keeping you stuck probably, and then how to start breaking it this week, like right away. Y'all good with that? Give me some love online here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see it. I'm jacked because this is important. This is super cool. All right, let me tell you how we got into this. Let me tell you how this all started. 20 years ago, more than 20 years, 24 years ago, if I wanted to get specific, I was standing on the bank of the Caloosahatchee River in Cape Coral, Florida. And if you've read Momentum and Mastery, you've heard that story. Right? I had everything that cultural gravity, write those 2 words down, cultural gravity told me I should want. I had a real estate team that was crushing it with 6 buyer's agents, 2 admins, all the fun stuff, right? I had a waterfront house, a 745 BMW, 6 figures. On paper, was crushing it. I was actually doing all right. In reality, my wife had decided she wasn't coming home. I was about to raise my 5-year-old daughter alone. And despite working 70 plus hours a week and having all the systems, despite everything the gurus had told me I was supposed to be doing, it wasn't working. Codependencies were rampant in my family. So I made a decision. I wasn't going to keep it that way. What I realized over the years is that this wasn't a business problem, this was a pattern problem. The codependency, the people-pleasing, the need to control everything, it wasn't just showing up in my business, it was everywhere. So, my marriage, my health, all that stuff. So how do you, listen, write this one down. When I heard Harv Eker say this, and I'm sure it's not original to him. I think this is kind of an Eastern philosophy thing, but how you do anything is how you do everything. I took that to heart because I realized that how I'm approaching one thing in one area of my life it's affecting other areas of my life the same way. And I was doing everything from the same broken pattern. So I spent the next several years, the next 2 were probably the most intense at that point, reverse engineering all of it, studied NLP, got multiple certifications in coaching, mapping where patterns show up, building a framework to identify them, how to break them, how to rebuild them better, right? And what I had discovered is this: every entrepreneur operates in one of 4 patterns. Most don't even know which one they're in and just know something feels off. So let me show you the patterns, okay? Actually, hold on. Your business, I can't get into the patterns. We're going to talk about that. I really need to tell you about something else first. Your business problems aren't business problems. They're patterns being pulled by cultural gravity. I already told you guys to write that down. Right? Let me show you the invisible force keeping you stuck. And it's not easily shown to you except for by the results that you're seeing in your life. It's cultural gravity. It's not a natural force per se. It is in fact engineered. Social media. I mean, we don't live really in a thoughtful way. We live according to the algorithm. Industry best practices. This is how you should be doing it because this is how so-and-so did it. You should do it the same way. Things like family expectations. Lord knows I had that going on. All the shoulds. You know what I'm talking about? The shoulds. Cultural gravity wants you drifting. It celebrates when you hit revenue goals, but stays silent when your marriage is failing. It applauds your systems, but ignores that you're dying on the inside. Y'all feeling this? Y'all are awfully quiet for having this many people. It rewards the fruit while the root is rotting. And here's the thing, you don't have to do anything to drift. You just got to stop fighting. That piece alone would be a perfect little clip. You don't have to do anything to drift. All you got to do is stop fighting. And the second you stop being proactive, gravity takes over and pulls you back into the reactive mode. And you're blaming, you're complaining, you're justifying, you're just not getting anywhere. And cultural gravity is the enemy, and it's winning. Okay, so here's what I figured out. There are 3 primary factors that create escape velocity. Because I started studying how did these top performers and people that were doing way better than I was, what was the common threads between all of them? And I found 3 factors. Okay, 3 factors. Write these down: movement, mindset, and mechanics. Movement is what we do in the Drift to Drive framework in our book, where it talks about getting into momentum. That's getting you in the driver's seat. It's the foundational pieces that create the energy that you connect to mindset and mechanics. The mindset and mechanics come together to help you understand how to be the qualified champion. I don't want to get too far on that, and I don't want to lose you, because I want you to realize the qualified champions framework is how we come up with the pattern so that you can see where you're at right now. When you map these factors out, you get 4 patterns that every entrepreneur falls into. So let me show you the 4 emotional states. And I'm going to use my little board behind me here. Hopefully you can hear it okay. Let's get down to business. First of all, let me ask you something. If you're following along, you're going to write this down. How's that looking? That cool? And the lighting sucks in here. Got to do better than this next time. If you draw for yourself a set of crosshairs, it's going to create 4 patterns. Well, let's talk about this. This vertical line is a mindset conversation. Above the line, people that are positive mindset, we call those champions. And people that are below the line, we call those victims. We all fall there from time to time. Y'all tracking with me so far? The primary way to know the difference between someone who's a champion and who's a victim, champions are the affect with a C. With an A. Victims are the effect. Here's probably the easiest way to recognize the difference. Champions define their circumstances. They are the effect, the action. They impose themselves on the world. Victims are the effect, or they are defined by their circumstance. Champions, victims. Mindset. Somewhere on here you fall. Now, in terms of this line here, the horizontal line, that's your mechanics. You have unqualified on how to do whatever it is that we're talking about, or we have qualified. Now, how do we know the difference between those two? Is it a certification? No. Actually, at the end of the day, I would say it's either, if they have positive results, the results that they want, that's going to be positive. These folks over here, on the left side of the line, that's going to be rhetoric. They can talk a good game. Here lies the 4 quadrants. Here lies the 4 patterns. So let me ask you something. I'm going to go through four I wonder if I'm doing something wrong, because I don't see any of you guys' comments, which is really bothering me. No worries. I'm going to keep rolling. That bothers me that I can't see what you guys are saying along the way. And I haven't done a Facebook Live in a while, so we're going to close out some stuff because it tells me I'm having performance issues, so hopefully. Do I need some performance enhancement drugs? My computer might. Okay, let's talk about these 4 emotional patterns or states. It's going to tell us kind of where you might be on one of these 4, okay? And they all have a name, and I'm going to go through them in just a few minutes. But how many of you have ever maybe, let me ask you this. Let me put it this way. Here's the one question you should ask. When business doesn't go well, when things go wrong in your business, or even in your personal life for that matter, how do you typically respond? Naturally. And I need you to think about this for a second and not overthink it. Just pay attention to yourself. Things go wrong. Where do you go? Do you go into immediate blame, justification, criticism? Do you feel like you need to kind of withdraw yourself for a minute and step away because you need to protect yourself? If that's you, you can put a 1 in the comments. If your natural tendency is to kind of pull back. If your tendency is to be kind of excited about the problem because you know there's got to be a solution. I know we can figure this out, but for whatever reason, you can't figure your way out, and so you get frustrated to all end. Frustration is constant in your life. If that's you, put a 2 in the comments. If your response or when things go wrong, if you're more of the, you know exactly what to do, but you're not really sure that there's any use, like it's just kind of like same old hat to you, here we go. Or maybe your response is, I just got to work harder. Maybe you're feeling a little burnt out, or you're hitting a glass ceiling and can't ever seem to get past it. If that's you, write down or put in the comments number 3. Yeah. And the 4th pattern, maybe, when things go wrong, you're proactive. You jump in there and take care of it. You know what to do. You know that there's a better way. You're just impatient that other people around you or that the system isn't able to do it quicker and faster. Put it in a 4. All right. If you were a number 1, that's going to be right here. These are unqualified victims. If you've ever felt paralyzed by fear, like external forces control everything, stuck in survival mode, right? That's the protection pattern. These people are known for being in a pattern of protection. It's the unqualified victim. Low mindset, low mechanics. You're in the effect, right? You're in rhetoric, so you got a game to talk about, basically, but you're running in blame, complaints, and justifications. The market's bad, my team doesn't get it, I can't afford that, it's not the right time. Cultural gravity loves you when you're in that pattern because you're not even fighting. You're just protecting. You're playing full-on defense all over the place and no offense anywhere. The lie for this person right here is going to be, I'm powerless. Things just happen to me. Here's the truth. You're stuck because you're given up control. You're choosing drift over drive. What is it costing you? Everything. Revenue, relationships, respect even in some cases, right? Freedom. Let me ask you, where else is this showing up? Is it in your health? Like, blaming my genetics. Like, I can blame my genetics for a lot of things, but I don't have near the health, and praise the Lord for that. I don't have near the health problems that some of my family has. Your relationships, you're always blaming your partner? Or in your business, are you blaming your business partners? How about your finances? You blaming the economy? Or who's the president for this year? There's a way out. If you wrote down number 2, you said I'm the second one, then you felt like you're full of ideas, but you just can't seem to execute, right? Great vision, but terrible follow through. Some of y'all are like, oh, yeah, he's talking to me right now. Frustrated because you know what to do, but just can't seem to make it happen. I find myself in that pattern quite often. That's a positive pattern, and that's the unqualified champion. That's this person right here. Unqualified, meaning they're not getting any results. And this is a positive pattern. Now, is there anything wrong with being positive, by the way? Is there anything wrong with protecting yourself? No. The positive pattern has a high level of mindset, low mechanics. So you're in a cause situation because you're the affect, right? You've got that champions level mindset. But you're all rhetoric, you're all talk. You've seen it, you've felt it, you understand that that's the challenge. You have the belief, you've got the commitment, the vision, all those things, but you have no systems, no plan, no execution. You don't like that level. You want to be creative, right? You're the idea person who, by the way, never ships. The visionary who never builds. The dreamer who just stays stuck. Listen, cultural gravity will love you too. Because you're spinning your wheels. You're fighting, but you're fighting without a weapon. The lie that you're carrying is, by the way, I just need the right strategy. Then I'll execute. I just got to have the right, and you keep moving the pieces around. You don't need another strategy. You just need straightforward mechanics. You need structure. You need systems. Now, what is this costing you? Probably a whole bunch of wasted potential. Your ideas die in your head. People stop taking you seriously. Your health. Maybe you got a gym membership you don't use. Done that, right? Your relationships, you got promises you don't keep. Got a lot of good intentions. Your finances got a budget that you don't follow. I'm not intentionally trying to step on your toes. I want you to understand it's a pattern. And cultural gravity wants to keep you here. All right, well, maybe you're not a 1 or a 2, or maybe you do that in some areas of your life. Maybe you felt like you were probably, like when challenges show up in my business, I was a 3, right? So that's like, you're good at making money, but you're still kind of miserable. Crushing the numbers, but losing yourself. Building a business that's becoming a prison. That is the qualified victim. That's right down here. That is a productive pattern. Right? When the crap hits the fan, if you're trying to protect yourself, you're right here. If you're constantly trying to will your way there through positivity, you're right here. But this person right here, you see it all the time, especially in really big businesses, because they've done so much. They've built systems and built it all out and created a lot of their focus on production. They got the low mindset, which is what's causing that ceiling in their head, their glass ceiling, right? You're in the effect, but you're in results. You got stuff happening. You're qualified. You got systems. You got revenue. You got the team. You got the infrastructure. But you have no purpose, or at least it doesn't feel like you do. No fulfillment, no alignment. You're the burned out entrepreneur making $500,000, but still considering quitting because this just ain't cutting it for you anymore. Cultural gravity loves this person too, or that pattern more specifically, because you look successful on the outside while dying on the inside. You're productive, but you're producing someone else's dream, not yours. The lie you believe, if you have the money, right? If I just had more money, I'd feel better. Bullshit. Here's the truth. Your money without purpose equals more misery. You built a golden cage. You got a very elaborate prison. What's it costing you? Probably your soul, your relationships, everything that actually matters. Where else does this show up? Well, in your health, you got perfect diet and absolutely zero joy. Right? And this can happen to anybody, by the way, especially in those areas, because I think of the story of Tony Robbins when he met Sage and he was on a date with her. It's now his wife, been married for, I think, 17 years or something. And She ordered, she's extremely health conscious, right? And she ordered a sundae. And he was like completely thrown off by the fact that she would order an ice cream sundae. And he's like, what are you doing? Like that's got, it's not healthy for you and blah. And she's like, I'm living. What are you doing? That's the story that comes to my mind when I think of that. Right? But if you're in this quadrant right here, you're productive. You're so focused on having the perfect diet, right? Or in relationships, you got all the right stuff. Like you got everything looks good on photography and pictures and, right? But you're feeling hollow on the inside. Your finances, you're rich, but you ain't rich at all. Maybe you're just really uptight with your money. Again, nothing wrong with being productive. What is wrong is when it's not being purposeful. Let's talk about this. If you're feeling impatient and you're still here with me today, right now, 25 minutes in, then you're probably, this is where we all want to go, right? This is the qualified champion, which, by the way, if you go to qualified champion, actually go to unshakeablesecrets.com, you can do this whole, you can do a whole assessment on this. But this qualified champion is where we all want to be. This is a pattern of purpose. Operating in purpose is not the same as operating in production or in positivity or in protection. It's all about moving with purpose. You are the champion mindset and you have the results. You have the belief and the systems, the vision and the execution, the purpose and the plan. All those things. You are what we're referred to as unshakable. And maybe you're like right here and you're just getting there and getting going. You're not just making money probably, you're building a life that aligns with who you are. This is how you escape, or you build enough energy to have escape velocity from the cultural gravity. You've got to have this, and it's got to be congruent. When mindset and mechanics align, you enter a stable orbit. Growth becomes your new normal. You end up with freedom, fulfillment, legacy, right? And where else does this show up? It shows up everywhere, right? Your health, your relationships, all the same stuff we've been talking about. It's all going to come aligned because your mindset and mechanics are working together. If that's you and you put in a 4, or if that's where you want to be, drop maybe a fire emoji. Let's see it. So how do you get from where you are to the qualified champion? Here's what most coaches won't tell you. You can't just mindset your way out of a pattern, and you can't just system your way out either. You're going to need both, and they need to be aligned. So those 3 factors of movement, we have to diagnose your drift and then create drive. Mindset, we fix 5 internal elements. I'm going to read those out to you real quick. Commitment, focus, accountability, belief, and flexibility. When those 5 things are there, the internal, and we break all that down, and you can actually get that in the book momentumandmastery.com. But commitment, focus, accountability, belief, and flexibility. That's the mindset pieces. And then we work on the mechanics, which are the 5 external pieces. That's outcomes, plan, resources, systems, and feedback. Let's see, I'm 30 minutes in. Hopefully you guys are okay with this. I'm going to take a few more minutes. I'm going to draw this out for you because sometimes the visual really helps. It's a lot of information, I know. But I need you to, if I'm trying to figure out how to get to here, then you need to know these pieces, these blocks, okay? By the way, this is all stuff that we do with the Unshakable Weekend, all these different programs, like the challenge I'm doing later this month. We actually break all this stuff down. But let me show this to you, okay? So if we got a mindset list over here, and we got a mechanics list over here. from mindset, the first thing we're going to do with mindset, it's going to be commitment. Got to have a mindset of commitment. Okay? Once I have a mindset of commitment, I've got to have a mindset of focus. And what we teach in focus conversations are not like the ability to concentrate, but more along the lines of where is your focus. Meaning focus where you're headed versus what you're moving away from. Way more powerful. Okay? Mindset of focus. The mindset of accountability. This is more than just the humility of owning your stuff. My definition of accountability is the ability to account. And you own it. Honor and humility. All right. Beliefs. This is a conversation of faith versus fear. We break that down also. And then, of course, at the top we have flexibility. Flexibility. Bend, never break. If you have the mindset going into all this kind of stuff that, this is how we've always done it, or I don't have time for that, or this is how it's always been done, you're going to be so stiff that you're just going to snap at the next available crisis. Mechanics. Outcomes. Most people have little idea or clarity on outcomes. They don't know how to actually write down what they're moving towards. How would they know if they're winning? The next piece is plan. Sometimes I put standards here. So if I have an outcome, I need to know what the plan is. What's the standards? What's the minimum expectations? What are the benchmark pieces that's going to help me create this outcome? Then from here, we talk about resources. Okay, well, cool, Spencer. Time, money, people, technology. These are all resources, right? Which resources do I need? Which ones do I need to get rid of that I already have in my business but don't belong anymore? Like, what am I doing with my resources? Am I planning for certain ones that I need to hire for or build for future? Like, what am I doing with resources, okay? Then we got to have a system. Now, when I say systems, I'm talking about rhythms. I'm talking about what you personally do as habits. Systems are to businesses. Okay. So what's the rhythm or the system that your business is doing on a regular basis to produce its outcome? And then up here we go into what's called feedback. Okay. I probably should have done this as a two-part thing because the quadrants help you understand kind of where you are. This helps you start breaking down how to fix it. Okay? And again, you're not going to get it fixed in this little conversation today, but it does give you a tremendous amount of awareness. Here's what you find out. You end up with 5 building blocks up here. Okay? You got 5 building blocks. Because when these two things are congruent, we end up with a little roadmap. And it's a beautiful thing to see on paper. A commitment to an outcome creates purpose. It all starts with a purpose. A focus on a plan, right, is going to help me clarify my priorities. You're going to see how this comes together really well at the end. And then accountability for my resources. This is where my power lies. If you're feeling powerless, we got to talk about it. My beliefs. When I believe in my systems, I can perform at a very high level, by the way. And when I'm flexible in my feedback, I can actually make progress. So here's the thing. When you look at it this way, this isn't a tactic, guys. Not with alignment. When you understand how to create when you get the alignment going on, things just start showing up in your life. I can show you how to do this probably in 5 days. It's in my challenge. But if you're not feeling like you got progress in your business like you want, then maybe I need to start asking you questions about your performance. Like, what are we actually doing around here, right? And if you start telling me things that are like, well, I don't think we don't have the capacity, we're not really able to, right? Those are power conversations, at which point then I need to make sure that you own it and that you're owning your resources. But if you still sit there, well, it's also, I just can't seem to really, we're doing all kinds of things and we're not really sure. You probably don't have priorities. Or you have too many that you're calling priorities and therefore you have no priorities. Right? If you have multiple priorities, then you don't have any priorities. And if we're struggling with that, we're probably going to be struggling with purpose. Like, what are we actually doing around here? And does your whole team know what you're doing around here? This isn't something I drank pizza and had beer one night and woke up and was like, hey, this is a really cool idea. This has come through the last 20 years of building this stuff out. And what's incredible is when I overlay this into the Unshakable Business Intensive, where we go through the 5 areas of your business, your culture and your team, the sales and marketing, your customer service, product and skills, your operations and finances. When I overlay this structure into your business and all 5 areas of your business, it is absolutely incredible. So here's what I'm going to get you to do next. So you know your pattern. Some of you are qualified victims, making money with miserable. Some of you are unqualified champions, great ideas, right? Terrible execution. Some of you might be unqualified victims, stuck in survival mode. And a few of you are already qualified champions, right? Keep going. Here's what I want you to do next. If you have not done the assessment, go do it at unshakeablesecrets.com. You need to know your pattern before you can break it, and also which part of the business needs to be addressed, because that's what we do in there. And then pay attention to where else this pattern is starting to show up for you this week. In your health, your finances, your parenting, like where is this pattern showing up? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. Remember that? And then I'm going to ask you to come join me for what's coming next. Now, I'm not selling anything tonight. I'm promised no pitch, and I meant it. But I am doing something bigger in the next few weeks, and if you want in, you need to be on the list. So send me your email address. You can drop it in the you can DM me, probably the best way to do that, so that your email address is not out here in front of hundreds of people in this group. Send me a private message, and then that's it. No pressure, no pitch. So you know your pattern. That's 90% of the work. Breaking it, that's what we'll have to do together. Questions? Drop them. I haven't seen any comments, so I got a bad feeling that something's wrong with the technology. But if you got questions, let me know. Okay. All right. And because of that, I'm just gonna have to let it go. Y'all keep well. I did say 40 minutes. Here we are, 38 minutes in. So, all right, guys. Have a good night.